sure everything's in the shot. She's gonna be right here. Can you see everything? That's good. Alright, so this is a large frozen thawed rat. This girl is 7'1", so I pick out prey items that are roughly equal to the girth at its biggest point. Maybe a little bit bigger, but you can see that even though it's a large rat, it's perfectly sized for her at 7 feet. She's eating these once every 4 weeks, and then starting next month, towards the end of the month, through October, she'll get them every 3 weeks or so. And then from the middle of November till the middle of February, she's not going to eat at all. That allows her to start conserving energy, which will build muscle mass and burn through her fat deposits. Not all of them, but just the excess fat that they're holding. They store fat and store energy specifically because certain times a year they eat more than others. So there's no need for these animals to eat consistently the year around. So by giving her most of her food, the most food she eats is during the late summer, early fall, and then fasting her for the winter time keeps her muscular and healthy. She's still girthy, as you can see. She's not underweight. She's not too skinny. And this also stimulates growth. She grew 2 feet last year on this feeding program. And the most that she grew was when she was completely off of food. Boas grow the most when you don't feed them. That's something that you can read in Vincent Russo's book, The More Complete Boa Constrictor Guide. And anacondas are boas. They're just in the family of boa. But anacondas have much slower metabolisms than pretty much all boas. So when you see people that are feeding prey items that are twice as big as the snake with massive lumps, like if the snake's 4 or 5 feet long, you don't need to be feeding jumbo rats. That's too much. It's not that they can't handle it, because in the wild, obviously, they will eat prey items that are thick like that. But we have complete control over their feeding in captivity. We are responsible for their feeding. So there's no need to be feeding prey items that could potentially choke them, that could potentially injure them, that could potentially cause regurgitation. So I keep the prey items roughly at the same girth. And then I take them off of food during the wintertime, and that's when she grows the most. So this feeding program is backed not only by Vincent Russo, but I also spoke to Jesus Rivas. I spoke to Dr. Steven Secor, and I've talked to a zoologist who's also a herpetologist and has worked with anacondas. They feed their anaconda that's 16 feet and 165 pounds. They feed her they feed her 5 times a year. She doesn't eat from November until March. So this is something that all of the zoos I've talked to, they do that with anacondas and boas. Every herpetologist that I've spoken with said that this is the best feeding method. And honestly, the proof is in the pudding for me. When I started switching them all to food cycling, that's when they grew the most. All of them have a fantastic growth rate. They're all lean, muscular, healthy. And I'm feeding about half as much. So, guys, if you don't believe me, look into it. Check it out. Talk to some herpetologists. Reach out to people who spend their lives devoted to them in captivity. And don't listen to people like Brian Barzarak, whatever his name is, who's feeding piglets every 2 weeks. You're essentially giving your animal a death sentence if you're feeding that much. I know he has his fucking cult following, but I promise you, that is too much food. You do not need to feed an anaconda that much. Yes, if I was feeding this girl a jumbo rat every couple weeks, she would probably be over 8 feet. But my main concern with her is health, not feeding as much as I can to make her as big as I can. That is not the most important thing with your animals. The most important thing is keeping them healthy. And they're going to grow if you feed them properly. As I said, she's 2.5 years. She's 7 feet. Could she be 8 feet? Sure. Is it going to take an extra 6 months for her to get to 8 feet? Absolutely. But her being healthy is much more important than her getting an extra 6 to 8 inches 6 months early. So, guys, if you have any questions about food cycling, if you want to ask me, please feel free to ask in the comments section. I can provide you some good information, some links for some stuff you can read. If there's anything you want to see that's not harmful to my animal, then please tell me about it in the comment section as well. If you think I deserve it, hit me with a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell. You'll get a notification every time I do a new video. So I'm going to leave this girl alone. Let you guys get a nice underwater shot. I'm going to try to get a shot of her swallowing the prey, but she'll sit here for a good 45 minutes before she starts to eat. So I'm going to leave her alone. And guys, thank you for your continued support. I should be up to 3,000 subscribers probably by tomorrow morning. So guys, thank you so much for continuing to support me and my snakes. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. All right, bye.